Wow, I gotta say that in terms of visuals alone, Raya and the Last Dragon is the most stunning of all of the new era films from Disney Animation. I'm talking more groundbreaking visuals than the ones we've seen in Moana, Wreck-It Ralph, both Frozen movies, Zootopia, and oh my god, those movies are full of stunning visuals, but Raya and the Last Dragon, in my opinion, beats them all. Raya and the Last Dragon is chock full of cinematic visuals from character designs, world designs, creature designs. This is the type of movie that was made to be experienced on the big screen because of how stunning it is, and I only hope that maybe one day I will get to see it on a theater screen. I will say there were moments in Raya and the Last Dragon that were reminiscent of themes and moments and feelings that I got when watching the Disney Renaissance. Some moments that reminded me of things we've seen in Mulan or Hercules or Pocahontas or even Aladdin. Also some moments and creature designs specifically that reminded me of the magic that we've seen in some Hayao Miyazaki films. Another thing I loved about this movie is that it had balls in also delivering some real stakes, some real danger, some darker elements and darker creatures and character moments in a way that also reminded me of some of the darker, higher stakes we were given in the fantasy adventures as seen in the Renaissance era. Disney has, in my opinion, gone a lot more PC in their storytelling. It's just not the same as it was in the 90s, but Raya definitely upped the stakes, for me at least, comparatively to recent Disney animated films. This movie has a lot of story. It also has a lot of action. It is an action-packed, thrilling adventure movie. There's a lot of world building. It's also worth noting that this is not a musical. There are no songs, and that can be a little bit jarring for Disney animation, especially when they introduce a new Disney princess. And I do think that Raya and the Last Dragon had enough going for it in the realm of story, in the characters, in the stakes, that it did not need the music. Would I have loved to have seen music? I'll never say no to music, but I don't think it necessarily needed it. Kelly Marie Tran did an amazing job in the lead role of Raya. She brings such a level of charisma, likability, strength, valiance to the role of Raya. But another standout for me is Gemma Chan as Namaari, and Namaari is the main film antagonist. And I will say that the character of Namaari is my second favorite antagonist in the slate of new Disney animation, behind Mother Gothel. She is such a dimensional villain, so complex, and there were moments given to her as an antagonist that I haven't seen given to Disney antagonists in that way before. It made her incredibly interesting to me, and I appreciated the history and dynamic between Raya and Namaari, and I feel like they were the two driving forces for me when watching the movie. Which might sound surprising because obviously people are talking about Raya and the Last Dragon, and the Last Dragon is Sisu, voiced wonderfully by Awkwafina. Now, Awkwafina did an amazing job with Sisu. There were some callbacks in the beginning that did remind me a little bit of when Aladdin met Genie. There's no beating the groundbreaking performance of Robin Williams as Genie, so I'm not saying that Awkwafina reaches that level, but she does do an amazing job within the role and what she is given to do. And this film excels at the action, the drama, and definitely the more serious moments. The action was thrilling. The choreography within the fight scenes was the best I've seen in Disney animation. But when it would slow down to give us more somber or character building moments or reflective moments, it really excelled. You really felt the weight. You felt the gravity of the situations. That's where the movie excelled best, and that's where the best character moments happened. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie, but I do take qualm with a few things. Now, there's a pattern I've been picking up on in a few recent Disney animated films, and that is they have a really strong beginning, but a semi-fractured or uneven middle, but then a really strong ending. Films like Frozen 2 and Moana are perfect examples of that, in my opinion, and Raya and the Last Dragon sadly kind of falls into that pattern. And the biggest arrow in the heel for Raya, in my opinion, is sadly the humor interjected into this. I honestly felt like 80% of the humor was catered towards little kids. And I know humor is completely subjective. There is a lot of story and there are a lot of characters, and there is a fair share of amazing, beautiful, darker, quieter character moments to help sort of, build upon that tension and build upon the stakes. But then I feel like the writers felt like they had to offset the darker tones with jokes to entertain children. And for me, 80% of the jokes just didn't quite land. Now, in talking about the film structure, I do think that the middle of the film kind of suffers the most in that it tries to pack in a lot of story and a lot of characters and trying to build character relationships while progressing the story, but it feels like there was too much to interject in a short runtime, that certain character relationships and friendships feel formed a little bit too quickly. There were times it felt a bit forced. Not all the time. Some characters worked a little bit more seamlessly than others, and I ended up liking all of them by the end. I just wish they had been developed a little bit more strongly in the middle. Like I said, the most realized characters and character arcs for me were Raya and Namaari, which I thought had very, very strong character arcs. So you have the fast pacing and you have the jumping around, and then you insert a ton of jokes that don't necessarily land for me. It makes for an uneven middle. But then when you have those moments of tension and those moments of action and those darker moments that are also sprinkled within there, and those moments are great, it can just kind of feel a little bit like a roller coaster ride. But like I said, when it's good, it's really good. And most of the time, the really good is phenomenal. And by the time you reach the final act, oh my God, I feel like the final act raises the movie up to like an 11 as it's been staggering here in the middle, and then it just skyrockets to stardom at the final act. Oh my God, it's one of the best final acts I have seen in recent Disney animation. I couldn't believe how epic they were going. I couldn't believe how big they were taking it. It blew my mind, and it actually made me tear up. For all of the knee buckling or little missteps maybe in the middle of the film, by God did it make up for it in the final act. And I'm happy to say that those grand moments, those beautiful moments, heavily outweigh my qualms with the film. Now, in terms of where I would rank it, right now I would still keep Tangled at number 1, Zootopia at number 2, and Frozen 2 at number 3, but Raya and the Last Dragon I will confidently give my number 4 spot to. In my opinion, it beats out Moana and the first Frozen and Wreck-It Ralph in my opinion. Raya and the Last Dragon is 70% really good, with about 30% of it semi-problematic. But the good part of it is great. There's beautiful representation in this movie. It is some of the most stunning animation I've ever seen. Disney is really stepping up their game in giving us female heroines that don't rely on a love story to make them relevant. We have that with Moana, we have that with Elsa, and now we have that with Raya, and I'm excited to see more of her in this Disney universe. I'm excited to see this world of Kumandra more so in the Disney parks, in the Disney universe. It is stunning. Again, some of the best visuals I have ever seen in Disney animation. As for the million-dollar question, is it worth paying the premiere access of $29.99 on Disney Plus? And in my humble opinion, it is. If you are a fan of Moana, and if you are a fan of Frozen, in my humble opinion, you'll definitely love Raya and the Last Dragon. So if you like those other two properties, Raya and the Last Dragon will definitely be for you. I loved so much of this movie, and I don't want people to miss out on it, so I am recommending it as a Disney Plus Premier Access purchase. I'm going to give Raya and the Last Dragon an A-. And that's my review for you. You can currently see Raya and the Last Dragon in some select theaters wherever they're open, and also available on Disney Plus Premier Access. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts and what you thought of this film, so feel free to leave your comments down below. And as always, thank you all again for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Ryan Bamey, signing off. Bye, everyone.